So I believe when we're talking about dogs that are a little bit more likely to do well with the introduction and removal of the trigger, it comes down to dogs that are primary visual because they're constantly observing visual and they are more likely to clock that the dog actually went away, or I went behind a car and the dog can't see them, or I went behind a fence, or I sometimes will go through the motion of actually bringing my wife in to bring the dog in, etc. But it doesn't matter. Trigger goes away. Out of sight, out of mind is still the same thing in terms of resetting. So that's what you're looking at. So if I see a dog like fuck you and they're just T2000s staring at the environment, looking at triggers, then my movement and the environment being manipulated will give an interpretation of that dog or to that dog specifically because visual modality is the primary mode of operation. Does that make sense? Versus a dog that's auditory sensitive, it doesn't matter where you're at in distance. It doesn't matter where the dog is and whether the dog is there or whether the dog's been removed. If a dog barks in my backyard, that sound sensitive dog is going to react, right? So that also tells you that under threshold work is flawed because the problem that most of our industry is failing on is not developing a sensory profile to determine how to set the dog up for success in various environments. Distance doesn't matter. Sound versus visual. Distance is plays doesn't play it plays a different role with visual versus sound, right? The other thing that's also something that they're not ready for is dogs that might be conflict seeking. Dogs that are okay with sound of dogs barking back at them, seeing dogs tee off, seeing dogs with tension, right? But a dog that might be true conflict seeking, where not only will they aren't necessarily going to respond to postures in the distance, they want to get close and they want to respond to potential conflict, and so they'll be cooler than a cucumber. And then when they get up on the dog and the dog presents conflict, boom, that's where it occurs because they have an agenda. The agenda is to bite the dog. There's forward aggression associated with their problem. And so no amount of under threshold work is going to erode a dog that is waiting to get close enough, waiting to observe conflict so that they can fulfill their goal, which is to move to go into a pursuit state and to bite a dog.